Well, everyone, it appears that Santa Claus has come just a few days early in 2025, and on December 18th, Trump officially rescheduled marijuana from being Schedule 1, which is lumped in there with meth and cocaine and heroin and things like that, and he's moved it to Schedule 3, down with like 1% milk and cheese that's gone bad in the refrigerator. And today, we're going to go over a little bit of information here. I'm going to give you a general synopsis. We're going to talk about what Trump said in the video that I have here in the article from the fine publication that is the BBC. Then we're going to talk a little bit about what people who are saying in the article who support the situation. They love it and they think it's great, and we're going to talk about that. But then we're going to talk about some people in the article who do not support it, and they think it is horrible and is going to literally ruin the entire country. And before we get into the article, just in case this is your first time seeing one of my videos, I'm Johnny Watkins. I am a little tiny CBD business owner, and I like to keep up with things like this because obviously it impacts my life and my business. And then I also like to tell people like you, who may be another business owner, or maybe you're someone who's interested in the subject. So this is just a short little deal. Let's see what Trump had to say.
Today, I'm pleased to announce that I will be signing an executive order to reschedule marijuana from a Schedule 1 to a Schedule 3 controlled substance with legitimate medical uses. I want to emphasize that the order I am about to sign is not the legalization, or it doesn't legalize marijuana in any way, shape, or form, and in no way sanctions its use as a recreational drug. It has nothing to do with it. Just as the prescription painkillers may have legitimate uses, but that's a good one.
Okay, so it's funny to me. In the end, he says, that's a good one. And I'm curious if he's, saying that the law that he's just passed is a good one, or if he's just talking about his signature, because, I guess it looks pretty good from what I can see here in this photo. Do you think he was talking about the executive order itself being a good one, or do you think he was talking about his signature? I love to hear from people. So now we're going to get into a couple of the details of what is being said in the article. It's going to be all the good and the bad and the ugly and everything else. So he signed it in. We know all that. You just saw that in the video. It will remain federally illegal, but classifying to Schedule 3 narcotic would allow to expand research by conducting into, they're going to see all the potential benefits basically whenever they do the research. And that was one of the number one things that Trump had said in the previous video that I had posted about this exact subject right here. Several Republican lawmakers cautioned against the move, with some arguing it could normalize cannabis use. Oh, geez, see, we're already getting into the bad stuff here. So in the Oval Office, Trump had said that people had been begging for the change, particularly those in great pain from ailments including incurable pain, cancer, seizure disorders, and then obviously veterans with service-related injuries. Trump also compared cannabis to prescription painkillers that have legitimate uses but can do irreversible damages. I wonder, what drugs could they be talking about? Because there's no way that you could get a prescription drug that would do bad things to you, right? Nothing like opiates or antidepressants or anything like that. Like, nobody's ever had a bad experience from taking a prescription good medicine that they got from a professional good doctor, right? This never happens. I don't know what they're talking about right here. Let me know if you know what they're saying in the comments. The new classification has tax implications for state-authorized cannabis dispensaries. Current regulations bar them from tax deductions if they still sell, what was Schedule 1 but now is Schedule 3. So there's potential tax benefits if you're in the cannabis industry. Here we go. In addition to rescheduling of cannabis, Trump has ordered White House officials to work with Congress to allow some Americans access to cannabidiol, more commonly known as CBD. I happen to know a company. It's my company, and we sell something like this delicious little CBD balm right here. This is our lavender flavor. It is one of our most popular, and you can actually use discount code YouTube25 to save 25% on your first order. So we have senior administration officials that say the order was a common sense action and will let us better understand and study cannabis and CBD. That's what Trump's claim was, and that's what some other people are also saying, backing him up there. Oh, obviously, as many of you know, old Uncle Joe, his administration tried to do this same thing, but then they got bogged down with administrative BS, and then they never made anything happen. Tim Barash says this is going to be a fundamental shift in the government and the social perception of the drug. Oh, but here we go. The reclassification has met some resistance from Republican lawmakers. On Wednesday, a group of 22 Republican senators sent an open letter to the president arguing that marijuana use would mean that we cannot reindustrialize America. I don't know what the hell that means. I don't know what they're getting on right there. Somebody explain that to me. The senators pointed out the lingering concerns over the health impacts of cannabis, as well as research suggesting that cannabis can be linked to impaired judgment and lack of concentration. Oh, Jesus. Well, this is horrible news. We have to keep anything like that out of our society because we can't have anything, any substance everywhere, at every store, in every restaurant, every single place you go that they try to give you that would, do something crazy like impair your ability to drive or impair your ability to make decisions. We couldn't have a substance in our society that would increase things like domestic violence, like tenfold or anything like that. We definitely wouldn't want to have anything in our society that causes, major damage to your organs like your liver, or that gives you throat cancer, or that gives you stomach cancer or anything like that. And just for anybody who is not keeping up, I'm just talking about alcohol. It's all just alcohol. Oh, here we go. In a separate letter sent to Attorney General Pam Bondi in August, 9 Republican representatives argued that there was no adequate science or data that existed to support the change, and that marijuana, while different than heroin, oh, really? Still has the potential for abuse and has no significant proven medical use. The letter said, therefore, rescheduling marijuana would not only be objectively wrong, but it could imply to our children that marijuana is safe, and that could not be further from the truth. Now, just one thing to bear in mind really quick. A lot of these senators that are, coming out against marijuana, and they say, oh my God, it's the worst thing. Oh, we got to protect the children. These are the same people who tell you that you should give antidepressants to your children. And these are the same people who will tell you that you should give antipsychotics and a bunch of other insane stuff to your kids. Another thing worth noting is that a lot of these senators are given tons of money by this lobbying group that works for this thing called Big Alcohol. It's really, really weird. It's so strange. It's like, kind of interesting, huh? They're all paid by Big Alcohol and Big Pharma to get you to drug your kids into a stupor with like all of the prescription drugs. Those are all great, even though the side effects are worse than what they're treating. And another thing we definitely never want to do is raise our children right. Make them go outside and touch grass and like live a real life. Maybe spend time with them. Absolutely not. You just need to give them an iPhone or an iPad and a fistful of pills. And welcome to America. All right, so coming to a close here, it says more broadly, polls suggest that most Americans support legalizing marijuana, and one Gallup poll released in November found that 64% of Americans believe that you should legalize the reefers, although support had drifted slightly since previous years because a 13-point drop among Republicans. I want to know what you think in the comments. If you've liked this video and you found it informative, or if this is the first video of mine that you've seen and you want to help me out, you can give me a like, drop a like down there. You can always subscribe. I love having new subscribers to my little tiny growing channel that I've got here. And if this is the first time you're hearing about this and my video is one of the first ones that you've seen, I'm super glad that you came around and stuck around to this point to learn this stuff. And speaking of learning and things that you might not know, I made a video just recently about how China and the CCP, they're kind of doing some, really super suspicious stuff, and they're putting a lot of weird, crazy chemicals in a lot of the unregulated black market weed that goes around the country that you might not know about, all the stuff that you buy in the gas stations and stuff like that. And that video is right here. So you should check that video out if you want to learn more about how to not be poisoned. And if you stuck around this long, thanks so much for watching. Hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next one.